Welcome to the second session. This is Secure the Bag with Casper. My name is Pamela Mtanga and I'm your host, alongside our facilitator, our host, and everything in between. He's the reason why we're here.
We're going to welcome some of the guests that we already had back, and we're going to add more people on the panel. I think the first segment was more about foundation, basically where do you start, and the most important places or what do you call it?
Hey, let But
it was foundation, basically, because I thought it was very important for us to understand where we start and some of the things that people might overlook that are very important, and just understanding the basics of business in our industry and just business in general. That's why I wanted them to answer those questions about text, because I feel like, it's something that we might not understand, especially with percentages. It's different when you just hear text. It's another thing when you hear you have to pay 28%. Then you get to understand that. So without any further ado, may I please welcome the guests that are still here with us. I think VG. Who else is supposed to be here?
Sibu Mabena from Duma Collective. And then we also like to welcome onto stage VG.
I'd like to welcome on stage a friend of mine, a good friend of mine, a business partner of mine. We work together quite closely. And we'll also talk about the relationship that I have with, that I have as a brand with his business, Lekauso Juana.
Yeah.
He's the CEO of the Drip Group. The Drip Group has a lot of companies under it. Drip is one of them. There's another one called Root of Fame.
And the next up, I'd like to welcome onto stage someone who speaks to the topic of longevity and sustainability.
Yes.
Miss Cosmo.
Yeah. No need.
And next up onto stage, we wouldn't be here without our sponsors today. We would be here, but business Wanamad. But we're going to bring onto stage our representatives from Liberty Group to tell us more about the opportunities that exist when it comes to diversifying your portfolio, managing your wealth, and also planning for the future. So I'd like to welcome onto stage Portia Makubu.
I think
Amanda.
we need one more chair.
Yes, I think so. One more chair.
Portia Makubu,
Amanda, and Portia Mamabolo.
Shameless plug, this is also Root of Fame, owned by me and my brother here.
So in this next session, we'd like to talk about sustainability, right? It's more about the longevity of your brand, maintaining your wealth, or how to even start. What's the first step when you go to Liberty? What are the products you're looking for? Or practical examples of, I earn this amount of money, how can I then grow that money? Or investment portfolios that you could get into, and all of that information. So we'd first like to start with the people who just joined us, Legal and Ms. Cosmo, to tell us a bit more about their background. Firstly, Ms. Cosmo.
Hi, everyone.
Hi.
I am a hip-hop DJ, a radio presenter, a podcaster, music producer, and I'm just somebody who's been in the entertainment space from a music perspective, obviously being a DJ, but also trying to innovate myself and finding myself in different entertainment spaces and pockets, and working my way through, I guess.
Mm-hmm. How long have you been doing this?
Longer than I'd like. I'm joking. Just over 10 years now.
Yeah. 10. I met you when I was like 15, 16.
Yeah, you were 16. Just came from Mafikeng.
Yeah.
I think I actually saw Captain.
And you were so horrible to me.
Oh my God.
I'm joking.
He's definitely lying.
Yeah.
I think I actually saw you perform for the first time in Mafikeng before you took the trip to come to Johannesburg.
Oh yeah, that's crazy.
At the 60s.
I think it's longer than 10 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Ms. Cosmo is one of the first people to actually play predominantly SA hip-hop in the clubs. I remember when we were coming up, there was a lot of American hip-hop in the club, and she was one of the people who were like pushing for us, and it was before you did radio, right? So how did you get into radio?
Radio was something that I've always kind of been passionate about because, as you're mentioning that, I've been a pioneer for pushing whatever was local because I believe so much in what we have in South Africa. So getting myself into the radio space was also kind of one of those platforms that I needed to kind of, squeeze into just to kind of broaden that as well. So I got into radio firstly through YTKO. I was actually headhunted to join the first batch of YTKO DJs. And I joined there for about a year. I was the first female on there. And moved over to 5FM a year after that, where I had a hip-hop show which ran for 9 years on 5FM. Where I was basically just cultivating local hip-hop and trying to kind of grow what local hip-hop was in the country and expand it throughout.
So how did you find like managing your finances as an artist, like, throughout the years for you to be able to be here still today standing, because a lot of people maybe who were popular at that time are not, standing. So how did you maneuver through all the different changes of like diversifying all the different salaries?
Well, firstly, I think what I had to my advantage is that I come from a finance background. So I think my head was already kind of wired in that direction, firstly, because I did actually work in a bank for about 4 years before I got into DJing full time. But outside of that, I do think what did help me was also kind of understanding how I wanted to grow myself, how I wanted to sustain myself, how I wanted to stay doing this entertainment thing without having to go back into a 9-to-5 just to feed my passion on the weekend. So I think it's really just about managing and deciding and where you invest your money, how you spend your money, and how you kind of make it work back into your brand. Understanding that there's a certain portion that needs to go back into your business, and your business is yourself. And how much you need to save, because also entertainment space is very volatile, so you don't necessarily know when you're going to get a gig, how you're going to sustain yourself for the rest of the year. I remember actually leaving corporate and getting into DJing was a very scary time for me, because you go from knowing every month on the 20th, imali yangena, whether ngisebenzile or angisebenzanga, imali yangena. But leaving and then going into a space where I'm freelancing and then kind of saying, okay, well, if I don't get up every morning and if I don't hustle, if I don't make a plan, if I don't pick up the phone and introduce myself to people and make them understand why I'm worth it to be booked, then I'm not going to make enough money. I'm not going to be able to pay my bills. I'm not going to be able to look after my family. And I think majority of entertainers out in South Africa right now are breadwinners in their families as well. So they always have to think about other people outside of themselves. So the importance for me was always perseverance, adaptability, looking at how I can make money, different ways of making money. Not only just on the gigs, maybe I'm going into, right now, the biggest thing that we have is social media. So how social media can kind of work in my advantage, whether it's collaborations with different brands, whether it's working on certain business ventures as well. So that definitely kind of helped, that type of thinking, to understand that whatever money that you make, you don't blow it at the club buying more alcohol, but rather you invest it back into your brand. How do I look a certain way? How do I present myself? How do I get a bigger check the next time?
Yeah. I'd like to ask the Liberty Group, right, since we're speaking about, you can clap hands, you don't have to. This is not a poetry session. So how would you assist a freelancer like me, who is, starting off, I don't know what to do with my money, and what are the aspects that you would advise me to look into? People speak about investments, but like when I'm making 3,000, I don't think I can make investments. We kind of think that, the time to make investments after you win Lotto and then, you know what I mean, you've got a lot of money. That's how we kind of think. So when is the right time to start thinking in that direction, and how would Liberty help in that aspect?
I mean, I'll take that, guys.
Yeah.
Okay.
As financial advisors, for Cosmo starting off as freelancing and leaving her formal employment, we would look at the 6 steps to help her put a financial plan in place, right? A comprehensive financial plan that looks at your immediate needs, your medium needs, and your long-term needs, right? So we would look at, firstly, building the relationship with Cosmo. Who are you? What do you want to achieve? What are your goals now that you're going to be freelancing, right? Then the second thing would ask is share your financial information with us. We want to know what financial decisions are you currently making, what have you made in your past, so that we can analyze your financial status, right? We want to see your level of debt. Are you bankrupt? What's your level of dependency on other people's income, right? So we'd assess that. Then we would develop a financial plan that suits your needs for where you are now. The important thing to remember about financial planning is that it is living. So it is not set today forever. It is a living plan, right? I always say financial planning is a practice. So it's something that you work at every day. It is a practice of putting a plan for your future. It's really that simple, right? And then we would look at what are the recommendations and solutions that suit you, and would implement the recommendations and solutions, and then we would monitor and review, right, annually. Some clients want to see us quarterly. So, depending on who they are and what their needs are. So that, I would say, is the process that we would use to put a plan in place for you as an artist, as an upcoming business owner as well, right? Because, we focus on corporates, we focus on entrepreneurs. You want to build a team. What is your plan for your team? How are you going to secure their futures? I think in the first session we spoke about there are families that will come to you and say, but Casper, you employed Mpo. What have you left Mpo? Mpo is no more. What did Mpo work for? So as an employer, we also help you put in place corporate solutions for your employees. I don't know if my team wants to add there.
If I may just add on and augment what Portia has just said. So Ms. Cosmo spoke about working at the bank, and you had a set salary every month. On the 20th, you get paid, come rain or sunshine. But now, when you are an entrepreneur, you get paid a freelancer. You get paid a certain amount, maybe once every 3-4 months. So the most basic step for people who work as freelancers on commission, because the industry is very volatile, the money is not guaranteed, the most basic steps is to first understand your needs more than your wants. Understand how much it costs you to survive per month, and then prepare a budget. Live on a budget. Say that if I'm Portia and I live in Newtown, my expenses a month are 20,000 rand. And now I receive 60,000 rand in a quarter. How do I spread that out over the 3 months? Because I don't know after this contract if I'm going to get another one. So the longevity or spreading your money is exactly that. That plan is the biggest thing. Plan so that you know where your money is going. You don't want to get in a situation where your money manages you. You need to know your money. You need to manage it. So track back. Write a budget, simple spreadsheet, income, expenses, what is left. Then you know how much to spend or how much to spare for every month. Because if you get a contract and you get a big bag, secure a bag of 200,000, and then tonight you are here, God forbid, tomorrow your pockets are empty.
When you say here, you mean at Konka.
I'm sorry, I was pointing at...
I think,
So the very first step, guys, for anybody, and it's not that we're talking to the people of the arts and the creative and sports, for anyone who's employed. Casper owns businesses, but he's an employee. He draws an income from his business. He doesn't say because he's received R1 million from a certain gig or fill up the dome, you get this bag and you go spending. You need to secure your overheads, you need to secure your budget. From there, you can spoil yourself.
I agree with you, and I agree with you because I did both.
You have...
Before I started respecting my business as a business, I used to look at it as my money, and it doesn't work. Like if you don't respect the structure, this structure that that financial advisors will give you, you will end up, affecting the actual business because of your personal lifestyle. So it's very important to have a budget. It's very important to respect your budget, and it, like she was saying, stretching your money because, as in our business or in our line of work as entrepreneurs, as freelancers, as artists, as creatives, you never know what's going to happen, the next day. Like we had a very, very shocking example with COVID where, there was saving for a rainy day. There was not a rainy day.
That was a rainy year.
It was a tsunami.
It was a tsunami for 2 years. And I don't know how we survived, but the things that, like the assets that we had owned before that really, came to pass. For instance, I like to speak about, unconventional ways. Like, for instance, for me, when that happened, I had a lot of watches, right? And people look at jewelry as a waste of money and whatever. I was able to sell my jewelry and, change my situation and set myself up in those situations. But if I had used that money to go to a club and buy alcohol and be cool and post a receipt, I wouldn't have that money anymore. So, there's different ways of putting your money away, but it's very, very important to save. So,
Can I also add there on the budget? A very important aspect of budgeting is to divide your money. What do I mean by that? Let's say you earn 1,000 rands, a simple amount. Take 600 rands, it's going to pay all your needs. And then you take 200 rands, you actually literally save it for the rainy days. And then you take the last 200 rands, you pay yourself within the salary. Because what actually essentially happens is people, the reason why they don't stick into a budget is because they don't know monthly how much is mine, how much must come to me. So usually what I advise my clients is pay yourself a salary within a salary. So you would know that on that 200 rands that is left, it's your, in case of emergency, 100 rands. And then the other 100 rands, it's actually your money to spoil yourself. Because there, with structure like that, then you know, if I'm spending more than 100 rands, it's not my money. Because my salary that I'm paying from my own salary is 100 rands.
I like that you mentioned you should pay yourself. I really like that. Because I think the reason why a lot of people overspend really is the fact that you don't pay yourself.
There's no structure.
So there's no structure, and then you end up chowing the business money. So now, my question would be back to, like, let's say in a month, it's a really good month. You have a 200K deal, and then you have a couple of gigs here and there. Why? You have a couple of gigs, and at the end of the month, we've made a really good 300K. And then the next month, it's not so good, right?
Yeah.
How do you then kind of just like, do you go to your financial planner at Liberty?
Absolutely.
Or, yes.
that's
because
your best friend.
That's your best friend, ne?
You know what? You saw my notes, okay? Because I think one of the key takeaways that we, discussed amongst ourselves from my side is, if you want a best friend in this industry, it's going to be your financial advisor. And we were saying, there's a hype guy, there's your makeup artist, there's your grooming. But where's your financial advisor? When you get the lump sum, the 300K, the 200K, do you have a plan for it? I mean, there's a gig coming, so you know you're going to make money. What's your plan for that money? And Casper also, what provisions had you made, if you did, where you didn't have to sell your watches? Do you understand what I mean?
Yeah.
So we need to be proactive in the sense that we plan for the unplanned. So there's risk planning. So in the event that I cannot go and perform, I cannot go hop on an airplane, fly somewhere and perform because I got into an accident. I'm unable to do my work. I'm disabled. Or I'm impaired. If you are a camera guy and you cannot use your arm, you are impaired, right? You cannot do your job and earn a living. What product do you have in place that kicks in to assist you in those instances?
I actually have a question. I usually read, back in the day, I used to read of like bizarre situations where, Rihanna insured her legs. I'm like, why? You know what I'm saying? But now,
that's a living.
But now that we're here, can we go to Liberty and actually, like, for instance, insure my voice?
Definitely you can.
It's a real thing.
Definitely.
That is what's happening in the world. How do we...
insuring your voice now in Liberty's context would not be saying Liberty insure my
Shows
voice
you-
in case
They
I can't
insure your
speak.
income.
Okay.
But to ensure your
Yeah.
ability to make an income.
Absolutely.
You're saying to Liberty, my biggest asset is me being able to make an income, is me being
Absolutely.
able to sing. Therefore, if I can't sing, I don't make an income. Then we put an income protection for you in place that if Casper cannot sing or cannot rap for any reason,
Yeah. Whatever.
if he gets sick,
If
he gets sick or he gets impaired and something happens to his vocals because he's sick and is diagnosed by a doctor, then while he recuperates, Liberty pays him an income protection for the first 24 months. If after 24 months or around that, the doctor say, no, dude, you can never do this again, then we pay you an income till
For the rest of
65,
your life.
when you would ideally
Wow.
retire. So we
Yeah.
want to
Impressive.
sensitize, we want to teach. In fact, we want
much
to
is
teach by this.
You're mentioning
So
very
the
important
financial,
points
the
there.
financial planning we're bringing, like Portia and Amanda are saying, first in the budget, you need to be able to not spend what's not yours. You
Yeah.
get the 200 Rand extra, don't spend it, it's not yours. Keep it, because you know what happened through COVID? It was a catastrophe. It was terrible. So now we've learned, because by rule of thumb, everybody should be able to have stashed somewhere about 6 months of an income or expenses in a savings account. So if I get the 200,000, I should not blow it. Something could happen. Second, for a person who's in the arts, like I said, if anything should happen to you, what have you put in place? If I should knock, so I use myself as a canvas when I talk to my clients that I'm a mother to a 7-year-old, I'm married to one man, and if I leave, if I were to leave Gonga today and I get knocked down by a truck outside, God forbid, what have I put in place for the people I'm leaving behind?
Absolutely.
What have I put in place for myself should I survive and be disabled? How am I going to survive and be able to continue the lifestyle that I'm accustomed to? So those things are cheap. Those things are really cheap, but they need the advice. They need an advisor. They need for someone to bounce the ideas off, to say, in case this happens, what can I do? And like Portia says, second or third to a doctor and a lawyer, everybody needs a financial advisor. Everybody needs, so that you are able to talk to someone about, how do I use this money?
I love all this money talk. I love it.
money?
So,
How do I
Portia,
use it?
I've got a living example. I've got a client of mine. She used to work for one of the airlines. I can't mention the airline. One of the airlines. She's a flight attendant. And then she's driving with a friend, got into a car accident. Nothing wrong with her body, nothing, zero. She only lost the use of 2 of her fingers. She's got in products, we call it the educator. Basically what happens, the Liberty pays the school fees for the child up until the child finishes tertiary level. The child can even go to any international university, Harvard, Stanford, whatever. So if you look at her, she looks like you and I.
She looks okay.
She looks okay, but she doesn't have to pay school fees for the rest of her life. So there's things like those that Liberty does for you, and us as a financial advisor as well. So with that said again, yourselves, you don't have like one job, right? So with Liberty, you can also secure one income protection and a side hustle.
Okay.
So you can secure 2 employments.
I love that.